This man, named Nicky, makes a call to a high-end restaurant to book a reservation, but the receptionist tells him that he can't since orders are often booked months in advance. He immediately ends the call and uses another phone to call the same restaurant, and this time around, he gets the seat. While eating at the restaurant, he constantly observes everyone and notices a man harassing a woman. She seems uncomfortable around him, but Nicky ignores them and continues with his meal. Meanwhile, the woman, Jess, tries to push the harasser away but is unsuccessful. So she points towards Nicky and claims he's her boyfriend.
Oh, look, you know what? He's right there. That's my friend.
She walks over to his table and begs him to play along with her. He agrees, so they spend the night discussing and getting to know each other. After some hours, the chef at the restaurant comes over to their table and thanks him for dining at their restaurant. It turns out he had called the restaurant posing as a renowned chef in order to get a reservation. After the meal, Jess hints for him to spend the night with her. So as they make out in a hotel room, a man suddenly barges in with a gun and threatens to kill Nicky for sleeping with his wife. Jess clarifies that the stranger is her husband. The man threatens to kill him, but Nicky doesn't budge.
I think you should shoot me.
He reveals that he suffers from brain cancer and that it would be a favor if they killed him and ended his pain. Hearing this, Jess immediately realizes that Nicky has seen through their plan to extort money from him. It turns out she's in cahoots with the strange man and they had a plan to lure Nicky into the hotel room to get money from him. Seeing that their plan has failed, she begins to argue with the man, but Nicky interrupts and offers advice on how to run a successful scam. He tells them that the strange man should have barged in when he had taken off his pants and started sleeping with her. He also advised that they should never drop their pretense act even when caught.
And why'd you come up here if you're so smart?
So he responds that he had seen her stealing from the man who was harassing her. He returns the wallet she had stolen and reveals that although he knew she was a scammer, he played along to see how her plan turned out. That night, as she walks home, Nicky shows up and invites her to have coffee with him. They get talking, and he reveals that he had learned the act of scamming from his grandfather, who's a renowned scammer. He tells her that his grandfather had put his father into the scamming business, but one day, they got caught by someone they had scammed. To prove their innocence, they had to kill their partners, so his father killed his grandfather to make it out alive. Upon hearing this, Jess asks him to become her mentor.
Tutor me.
No.
Why not?
I'm headed out of town.
But he rejects the proposal. She offers to pay him, so he takes her out to the snow to have a minor training session. He teaches her that the human brain can't multitask, so she has to learn the game of focus to scam her victims. While teaching her this, he continuously steals different items from her to show that it's possible to steal from a person even when they're highly alert. He concludes by saying that as long as she grabs her victim's focus, she can steal anything she wants from them. After this training session, he leaves and travels to New Orleans, but she stalks him to a restaurant and begs him to take her under his wings. She reveals how she had researched his family background and managed to trace him to the restaurant.
In your room?
That is so bad.
But he isn't impressed by this and refuses to accept her. As he stands to leave, one of his crew members approaches Jess and congratulates her for being their latest member. It turns out that Nicky had been expecting her all along.
Why do I have to wear this?
No one looks at your hands when you got that working for you.
The next day, she joins them for a scamming job while dressing seductively. Nicky introduces her to his crew members, Horst, Tommy, and Gareth. Horst tells her that dressing seductively will put men's guard down, making it easier for her to steal from them. After briefing her on what to do, they spread out to a festival and team up to steal from tons of people. Jess would pretend to be lost and ask for directions from people to distract them, while the crew members steal from the person. After doing this repeatedly, she gets the hang of it and suggests doing it alone. Horst tries to stop her, but Nicky signals to let her be. So she walks around the festival grounds, distracting and stealing from people. Seeing her act, Nicky becomes impressed. At the end of their stealing spree, he announces that she's now a part of their team, making her extremely excited. Seeing her potential, he involves her in bigger scam projects. He takes her to different cities and introduces her to the diverse world of scams, where people deploy various means to scam and steal from people. He shows and teaches her how they steal data from credit cards without drawing suspicion from the victim. He also teaches her how they get credit card pins from ATMs by creating a clone ATM in over 99 stores in LA City.
We're about 30 strong. Everybody gets a percentage.
He introduces her to his wide network of crew members and reveals that they sell the ATM data to a client in Singapore. After checking out his base and how things work in his line of business, she becomes impressed and begins to fall for him.
So what now?
That night, she invites him to spend the night at her house, but he declines. However, he unexpectedly shows up at her house and they make out with each other. One day, they pull a stunt at a restaurant where one of the crew members pretends to suffer a heart attack. Jess begins yelling for help to distract customers at the restaurant so that the rest of the crew members can secretly steal from the unsuspecting customers. After this, the group managed to raise $1.2 million from the stealing event. That night, as they celebrate their win, Horst, one of the crew members, packages the money and tells Nicky to hold onto it before it's shared among the members. He repeatedly asks Nicky not to gamble the money, so Nicky promises not to. But the next day, he goes with Jess to watch the American Championship game and they buy an expensive ticket to watch the game. When Jess asks how he got the ticket, he refuses to tell. While watching the match, Jess suddenly reveals that she finds football boring, so Nicky decides to spice up her experience. First, he makes a $1 bet that a seller at the stadium will miss a throw.
I will bet you $1 that guy does not catch that hot dog.
Down there?
Yep.
Which ends up happening. Seeing him win the first round, Jess also makes a $1 bet that a fat man in the audience won't stand for a stadium wave. She also wins the bet, putting two of them in a tie. As they make further bets, an Asian man, Lee Yuan, in the audience becomes interested in their betting game, so he asks to join them. Seeing this, Jess increases the bet amount to $10. They make a bet on how many guys would turn over to look at a girl with shorts. Jess wins the bet, so both Nicky and Lee Yuan pay her for winning. Lee Yuan moves over to their seat and asks to make another bet on which football team would draw a penalty. Jess backs out since she doesn't understand football, leaving Nicky and the man to play. The man proposes that they bet $1,000, so Nicky agrees. However, he loses the bet when the team he chose fails to draw a penalty. After losing to the man, Nicky proposes that they bet $50,000. However, he loses the bet again, causing him to get angry. Having lost twice in a row, Nicky convinces the man to engage in a last bet with him, and this time, he offers $100,000 cash.
That's fucking crazy.
The man agrees to this, so they both present the money and make the bet. Unfortunately, Nicky loses again, raising his total loss to over $100. Seeing this, Jess stops him from making another bet and tries to convince him to give up.
1.1 million.
Nicky.
But he pushes her aside and asks for another round. This time, he offers the team's entire $1 million to make another bet. The man is happy at this, so he also brings out $1 million to make the bet. They bet on who would draw the highest card. The man draws the first card, but it's a low number, so Nicky rejoices at the possibility of winning the bet. He draws his bet, but it's a lower number, causing him to lose the $1 million bet. Jess falls down in shock at their loss, and as they walk away, the man makes a mocking comment, causing Nicky to stop in his tracks. He makes up his mind to win back the money, so he returns to the man and requests another bet of $2 million.
You got a problem, my friend.
The man is shocked at his proposal and tries to advise him to stop, but Nicky ignores his advice and sets the rules for the game. He tells the man to pick up a pair of binoculars and choose any player's number on the field. If Jess guessed the same number, they would win the money. Seeing that it's impossible for Jess to guess the same number as him, the man agrees to the bet. He picks up the binoculars to inspect the field, and after scanning the field, he decides on a number. Meanwhile, Jess tries to persuade Nicky to pull out of the bet before it's too late, but he convinces her to stay and pick a number. So, she picks up the binoculars and scans the field. As she hesitates on which player's number to choose, she suddenly sees one of their crew members on the field together with the players. She immediately chooses the number 55, which is on his shirt. So the man joyfully announces that she has picked the correct number.
Hey, get the fuck out of my suite!
He agrees to pay them his $2 million bet. As they leave with the money, Nicky reveals to Jess that the entire thing was a setup. It turns out they had bribed the football referee to put the crew member on the field. As they get into the car to leave the place, Jess asks how he had planned the whole thing. So he reveals that they had gotten intel, that the man was a big gambler who often jumps on making a bet every opportunity he gets. So they had purposely gotten tickets for the football match in order to sit next to the man and lure him into making a bet with them. All this had been planned without Jess's knowledge. It turns out that Nicky had purposely lost all the bets to lure the man into accepting a $2 million bet. Jess asks how he knew that the man would pick the number 55.
How did you do that?
Liu Say, legendary gambler.
So Nicky reveals that ever since the man got into the country, they had placed number 55 in strategic points for him to see. The number 55 had been in his elevator, on the suit that a door guard wore, on the placard of street protesters, and even on the waist of the woman he made out with. When they were making the bet, they had also bribed a worker to play a subliminal song that triggered the man's subconscious, so that when he uses the binoculars to scan for a player's number, he would naturally be drawn to pick 55. Nicky had planned to put Jess in the dark in order to make her panic reaction seem genuine to the man. After hearing the entire explanation, Jess marvels at his entire plan and how it had worked out despite the low odds of it. She tells him how amazing he is and pulls him for a kiss, but he pulls out of the kiss and tells her that her job with him is over. He gives her a share of her profits from the scam and leaves, causing her to break down in tears. 3 years later, Nicky, now in Buenos Aires, works in the motorsport field. There, a billionaire who owns a motorsport team learns from his head security guard, Owens, that Nicky is a scammer, so he invites him for lunch. The billionaire reveals his intention to make his motorsport team win the championship. He tells Nicky that he owns a fuel burn algorithm named the EXR that every sports team wants. He intends to use it to win the championship. However, he also plans to eliminate every chance of his opponent winning. Upon hearing this, Nicky proposes a plan where he would act as a disgruntled engineer working with the billionaire. They would get into a fight in front of the opponent to make it seem like the relationship has strained. The opponent would then secretly approach Nicky, begging him to sell the EXR as a way to get back at the billionaire. Nicky would agree to the plan in exchange for money. However, he would end up selling a fake version of the EXR to the opponent, which would actually slow their car and make them lose the championship. Upon hearing the plan, the billionaire agrees to it and promises to pay Nicky $1 million if he succeeds in convincing the opponent to buy the fake EVR. After coming to an agreement with the billionaire, Nicky leaves. But Owens, the head security guard, tells the billionaire that Nicky cannot be trusted to follow the plan. At the pre-race party, Nicky shows up to carry out their plan. First, he meets the bartender and pays him to always replace his glass with water each time he orders alcohol.
If you could give me water with olives, that would be fantastic.
The bartender agrees to this, so Nicky goes around pretending to be drunk and orders several glasses of alcohol.
Where are all the black people?
As he plays out his act, he slowly approaches the billionaire, but as he looks up the staircase, he suddenly sees Jess walking down in a beautiful red gown. She slowly walks over to the billionaire, making Nicky realize that she's now the billionaire's girlfriend. His emotions take a hit, and he walks out of the party grounds to recover from the feelings of seeing her again. While outside, Jess walks up to him and tells him she's now in a relationship with the billionaire and no longer involved in scams. Hearing this, he apologizes for abandoning and leaving her heartbroken, but she brushes off his apology and thanks him for leaving her. While walking away, she begs him not to reveal her past to the billionaire, so he agrees to hide her former identity.
So, you don't know me.
But as she leaves, he gets depressed and orders several glasses of alcohol. After drinking for a while, Owens approaches and tells him to quickly carry out their plan, so Nicky acts like a drunk and gets into a fight with the billionaire in the presence of everyone at the party.
Oh my god.
After throwing several punches at the billionaire, Owens, the head of security, pretends to rush in and stop the fight. He orders the guards to take him away. While outside, the opponent's subordinate approaches him and drops a card, requesting a meeting. After the man leaves, Nicky rejoices that their plan is going according to plan. The next day, he meets up with the opponent and requests $3 million to get him the EXR. The man, unaware it's a trap, agrees to pay if Nicky gets him a sample of the EXR. So, Nicky follows the plan and gives a small sample of the EXR for testing. After testing it on their vehicles and seeing that it works, the opponent decides to pay $3 million for the entire EXR. Nicky promises to bring it in under 48 hours.
Wait for my call.
The next day, he meets up with Jess and offers her an expensive necklace as a way to rekindle their relationship.
I have to be getting back. I can't do this. I'm sorry.
But she turns down his offer and tells him to leave her alone since her relationship with the billionaire is blooming. As she walks away, a car suddenly pulls up in front of her, startling her. That night, Nicky returns to his apartment and sees her sitting outside his house. He tries to question if the billionaire had found out about their meeting, but she cuts him with a kiss. The next morning, as they spend a romantic time in bed, Owen, the billionaire's head of security, knocks on the door, so Nicky pulls her to hide.
Anyone actually cares that you're eating a turkey sandwich for lunch?
Owen is suspicious and walks around the house, but after finding no one, he gives Nicky the fake EXR before leaving. Nicky takes the fake package and sells it to the opponent for $3 million. Then, he goes to meet several other opponents and sells them the same deal for the same amount, causing him to rack up tens of millions. As he arrives at his apartment, he receives a text telling him to escape immediately since his scheme had been discovered. But instead of leaving, he patiently waits for Jess since they had planned to escape together by 7 p.m. After waiting for hours, he decides to leave alone, but as he opens the door, he sees Jess standing outside.
Sorry I'm late.
She apologizes for being late, so they leave together. On their way to the airport, they're hit by a car and taken hostage by the billionaire's subordinate. Both Nicky and Jess are tied up, and the billionaire shows up and confronts Nicky for deviating from their original plan. The plan was for Nicky to sell the fake EXR to the opponents, but it turns out that Nicky hacked into their software and got the formula for the original EXR, which he then sold to several motorsport teams. The billionaire is extremely angry at his betrayal and asks how he had managed to get the real EXR.
Which means you sold it to everyone.
When Nicky refuses to talk, he begins to torture Jess.
Fuck alone. I'll tell you.
So Nicky confesses that one of his crew members had hacked into their software and got the original formula. But the billionaire doesn't believe this. He reveals that the software generates a new password every 15 minutes. So the only way to hack in is by stealing the passkey that's often in his pockets. He continues to torture Jess, so Nicky decides to come out clean. He reveals that since the billionaire's security was tight, they were unable to hack in. So they devised a plan to get the passkey by using Jess since she was his girlfriend.
So I used her. And I've been using her.
He reveals he had placed a wireless keylogger in the necklace he gave to Jess. She was unaware of his plans and took the necklace home. With the necklace close to the billionaire, they were able to pick up on the password's keystrokes and log into his computer to get the formula for the original EXR. As he reveals all this, Jess looks at him with tears in her eyes. But he ignores her expression and tells the billionaire to let her go since she wasn't involved in his plan. Hearing this, the billionaire bursts out laughing and claims everything he said had been a lie. The billionaire walks over to Jess and removes the tape from her mouth.
Greg is not my boyfriend.
So she confesses that the billionaire was never her boyfriend. She had only been flirting with him to steal his watch, and she had never gone up to his room. She also reveals that she had lied about being with the billionaire as payback for his actions of abandoning her 3 years ago. Nicky is angry to hear this and yells at her for giving him a false impression. After arguing with each other, Nicky admits to being at fault. He grows silent for a while, and after contemplating, he decides to reveal the truth on how he had actually gotten the original EXR. As he starts talking, Owens suddenly pulls out his gun and shoots him in the chest. The billionaire is horrified by this and runs away from the place to avoid getting involved in murder. Meanwhile, as Nicky bleeds away, Jess tries to keep him from falling unconscious, but he loses consciousness. Seeing this, Owen walks over to their side, but she misunderstands his intentions and pulls out a dagger to stab his leg. He yells and explains that he's actually working with Nicky. It turns out he was the intel that provided Nicky with the passkey to hack into the software. Owens reveals he had shot him in order to make the billionaire leave them alone. While explaining this, he tapes up Nicky's wounds and uses a syringe to draw out excess blood from his lungs to cause him to regain unconsciousness.
You're his dad?
In the loosest fucking possible terms.
After this, Owens introduces himself as Nicky's father, and together, they drive Nicky to the hospital for treatment. As soon as they arrive near the hospital, Owens pulls to a stop and criticizes Nicky for turning into a good person because of his love for Jess. He reveals his own experience with love that almost got him killed. After advising Nicky for a while, he leaves with all the millions of dollars as a way to teach Nicky a lesson for falling in love. After Owens leaves, Jess pulls and assists him to the hospital. As they walk together, he sees a wristwatch in her hands and realizes she has somehow managed to steal the billionaire's watch that cost $200,000.